Everyone, welcome back to Pastor's Tips for today, April 8th, 2020. I want to talk to you today about something that is a great blessing, but can also betray us if we're not careful. Today we want to talk about social media. It has been said that the key to success is communication. And God has graciously blessed us with the ability to communicate in a variety of ways. What we say, the movements of our faces, our bodily contact, the way we look. If I do this, the idea is I'm resisting you. I'm not paying attention. I'm not listening. I'm not accepting what you're saying. You can tell a lot by a person's posture, the look on their face, and a variety of things. But not only do we have the natural, typically normal ways of communicating, but we live in a day now where we have all kinds of mediums for communicating. We can text, we can email, we can snail mail, we can Facebook Live like we're doing right now. We can do Instagram. I mean, there are just a lot of different mediums to communicate through. These can be a wonderful blessing, yet they can also be difficult to tame. I say it that way because I'm reminded of what James says in James chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. He says, no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With it, we bless God, our Father, and with it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brothers, these things ought not so to be. But the reality is they are. Anytime, every pastor will tell you, anytime you preach on the tongue, it hits pretty much everybody because we all need it. So why is that the case? If communication is such a wonderful thing, how can it be so treacherous? Well, one of the reasons is, like Jesus said in Matthew chapter 12, verse 34, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So typically what's in our heart is what's going to come out of our mouth or out of our fingers or on a video. So like a friend of mine asked me this morning, he said, well, why are you giving these daily tips for trying times from the pastor? And I just told him, I said, because he's a pastor, I said, because I realize that our people are going to go through things in this time that they're going to have to adjust to, and it's going to affect them. And as their pastor, I'm concerned that they respond properly, that I respond properly, so each one of these is directed at me too, that we realize the impact that our conduct has on other people, the close quarters, the physical effects of being in the same place with the same people, a lot of things. This stuff that we've talked about. So I do that because, I know that it's going to help you. It's going to help me. But quite honestly, in doing so, I run a risk. I run the risk of getting something wrong, saying something the wrong way. This is a platform that I'm not accustomed to all the time, but I'm getting better, I hope. So to me, it's a risk-reward relationship. I had rather endeavor to try and help and fail than to not try and help. If I was a doctor, I would rather try to save this guy's life than just say, well, he's probably going to die, don't worry about it. So that's just not wise. So I just want to give you some challenges, some encouragements, and some thoughts on particularly social media today. Okay, let me just give you 4 things real quick. Number 1, don't let it consume you. A lot of people have more time on their hands than they're accustomed to. Their habits, their routines have been changed. And we live in a world now where everybody has a social media device, whether it's an iPad, a phone, a computer. Almost everybody has something. And more, we're almost forced into it because of the way that the world's just moving, that whether good or bad. So what happens is we have this tendency to find some satisfaction or euphoricness in it, or we may find ourselves bored and just want to pick it up. I've realized with like Facebook, sometimes I'm thinking to myself in my desk, I'm thinking, what do I need to do next? And I keep a long list of things to do. But I'm thinking, what do I need to do next? And while I'm thinking about whatever that is and trying to decide which one it is, I might pick up my phone or my iPad and I might try to, just kind of see what's going on in the world. And if I'm not careful, I'm there for 10 minutes. Didn't even see it go by. So the reality is, social media can consume you. And I don't know the reports, but studies have been done on how many hours a day kids, adults, whatever, spend on social media. They should be working, they're doing other things. The reality is, for whatever reason, in whatever way, it really can consume you. So I want to encourage you, number one, to not be consumed with social media, but try to find some ways to do more constructive, proactive things like we have been talking about in the last couple of weeks. Reading, getting outside, house project, whatever. Get some things done so that after this 4 or 6 weeks or whatever, you don't look back and say, well, really all I did was surf the internet. Okay? There's a time for that. There's a place for that. There's good in that. But don't let it consume you. Number two, this is important, especially for young people or people who may have like a level of inferiority complex or something like that. And that is, don't let it deceive you. And I say don't let it deceive you because the reality is we all typically put our best foot forward. It's like coming to church, the worship service. We look our best. We just had a fight with our spouse, but we cover that up. We have our stained glass masquerade going, and we're putting our best look forward. And as far as everybody can tell, that's what I've looked like all morning, okay? You see people put this really nice dish of food on their page, or some really nice event that they really enjoyed or were glad to go to. A lot of these very positive, good things that they want you to know about. But we're seeing a snapshot of their life. You don't see when they were let down because not enough people clicked like, or somebody said a negative comment that they read later on, and now they're discouraged and they're depressed. Or we have a tendency to think, wow, this person has a really great life and I'm stuck here at the house. This person's got a snowmobile and I don't even have a car. Or this person gets to go there and I don't get to go there. Hey, look, don't let social media deceive you. People who have money have problems. People who have stuff have problems. A friend of mine said a long time ago, the bigger the beast, the more you got to feed it. There's a lot of truth in that, okay? Just realize that everybody's life is different. Your life is different from theirs, and they're going to have problems, though, just like you're going to have problems. They have emotions just like you have emotions. We're not in heaven. This is not utopia. So don't let what you see on social media deceive you, okay? Especially if you're one given to a dreariness, melancholic, depressiveness, whatever the case might be. And if you do have depression, that level of type thing, let me encourage you to read the book of Psalms, because I'm just going to tell you, and this is a skinny rabbit for right now, but everybody has a little bit of that. Some may have more than others, but imagine when the psalmist said, oh, I wish that I were a bird and could just fly away. He wants to get out of his situation. He doesn't like it. He wants to get away from it all. We all do that, okay? But when we let ourselves be deceived by other people's wonderful lives, it just makes that worse, okay? Then thirdly, Don't let social media betray you. Be mindful of what you put out there. And that's easier said than done. I'll give you a personal illustration. Last Sunday before, I can't remember, I was preaching, and this whole COVID-19 thing was getting heavy. And, we were told on the media to, not use these homemade masks because they were not helpful. In fact, what they did was they gave a false sense of security. Well, I'm trusting the people that are saying that. And as we all know, information comes out hour by hour. And so I said something about being mindful of these homemade masks, and somebody emailed me later on, and they were very hurt by that because they had been making homemade masks. Well, my intention was certainly not to hurt somebody, and I was only acting on what I was told. But as the information came out and changed, now all of a sudden mask making is a great idea, and everybody should be wearing a mask. So although my intentions were good, the information I was given and then gave out betrayed me. Okay? That's an innocent example. I had no malicious intent whatsoever. But if you're not careful, you can, in your frustration, in your discouragement, because you're bored, for a variety of reasons, you can put something out there that you can never get back. It's like poured out water. You just don't get it all back, okay? So just be careful that when you're putting things out there, you don't, try to vet your information as best you can. Try not to say things overly quickly, knee-jerk reaction. Try to better understand. There's a lot of information coming out right now, and there's a lot of misinformation coming out. So if we redistribute bad information, we only make a really bad situation worse, okay? So let me just encourage you. Number one, don't let it consume you. Maybe you want to put a timer out and say, I'm only going to spend 30 minutes a day on social media, okay? Don't let it deceive you. Be mindful that people are putting their best out there, and that you may not have what they have. That's okay. You're not them. Honestly, one of the biggest lessons I ever learned in life, I didn't learn till I was like close to 40. And that was, I'm Dale Gooding. And I don't like everything about Dale Gooding. There's a lot of things I really don't like at all. But I realized that I can't let that get me down. I am who I am, and that's it. I need to be more like Jesus, granted, but I can't change everything about me that I don't like that, okay? So be careful. Then thirdly, don't let social media betray you. Be mindful of what you put out there. Have good intentions. Say positive things. Do positive things. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. There's a lot of conspiracy theory stuff out there. People who are looking for there to be something when there's nothing, they'll grab a hold to it and make something out of nothing real quick. The reality is, you're going to make mistakes. I tell people all the time, I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of texting, emailing. I communicate a lot. I speak a lot. Just for a simple formula, let's just say I make 1% grammatical errors, which I'm horrible with commas, so it's much worse than that. But let's just say I make 1% grammatical, errors in my writing. As much writing as I do compared to a lot of people, I may still only be at 1% just like them, but I have a lot more errors, you see? Everybody's going to make mistakes. Takes. You will too, so don't let yourself be beat up by it. You're a human person, but let's endeavor to do our best to be mindful of what we're saying, what we're doing, how much of it we're doing, and the likes, okay? Don't let social media betray you. I hope that this has been helpful for you today. It's been a reminder for me. Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Have a great day.